Little boy, tonight we are taking the topic way back to 2003, before you were even born.
I said you'll have fun, and I won't disappoint you.
Welcome, fellow Kiss fans. Welcome to It's All For You Demons, celebrating the fun of being a Kiss fan. Welcome to Wax Night. And first off, I want to just say apologies for last week's episode. Kind of turned into a complaining session. Not usually my style. I like to keep things light and fun. Essentially, last week on my mind was my collecting moving forward and kind of the direction I'm going, and that's just basically vintage merch. I'm gonna stick a coin era 74 to 83 and then 83 to 94. Kind of my wheelhouse, the inception of Kiss, the year of my birth through 94 when I was in college. That's gonna be my collecting niche, my collecting playroom, if you will. Just didn't come out right in that video. It came out like a complaining session, and that's not me. We're here to have fun. Speaking of fun, next week video may not be on Friday night, or it may be late or into Saturday, because next week I will be attending the Knights and Saints Service Museum in California. Of course, you can't film there, but I do want to talk about it afterwards. So when I get back, I'm going to film a video, upload it, edit, upload, get it out to you. Maybe later Friday night or into Saturday. Now, let's Hotface. Very gloomy here today, and my hot face, obviously it feels like October. My hot face is the solo albums, and that will play into our topic tonight. But also my hot face is like Crazy Nights, Smashes, and Hot in the Shade. So I'm playing both parts of the field there. Solo album hot face, non-makeup, late 80s hot face, Sunset Strip period of the non-makeup era. I love it. Solo album, Crazy Nights, Smashes, Hot in the Shade. Leave your hot face below. As I mentioned, tonight's topic is semi-based on the solo albums. I, like many of you, when you first purchased the solo albums back in the day and you got the merch form inside, you were probably blown away. I know I was. These merch forms were spectacular, each in the band's color and merch specific to the band member. So freaking cool, and I fell in love with these, and the two items I really fell in love with were the keychain, which I've never come across in real life, and they are forged aplenty, so be careful, don't trust anyone, and pull an FL dog on that one. And then the belt buckle, love the belt buckles, very cool. Of course, signature necklace, a tough one to find. I refuse to say never, but a tough one to find. So, keychain and belt buckle were very much on my wish list from my early days in college collecting vinyl, and finally finding these merch forms and going down the collecting path of Kiss fandom. My early days of collecting before eBay was basically TNT Variety Store in St. Joseph, Missouri. I was able to get the Love Gun belt buckle from that dealer. And he called me one day and he said, I've got the Love Gun belt buckle. So that was extremely cool and an awesome find at a very young age in high school. And then so in college, I was thinking, it won't be very hard to find these belt buckles. Again, before eBay. Never ever saw one. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And I will admit, I was very late to the eBay game. So in the early days of eBay, I probably could have dove in and tried to find one, but I was young, naive, and I never did it. Fast forward to my first job out of college, I was a promotions assistant at Oldies 95, 94.9, KCMO, FM, and it was a fun job. I always wanted to work in radio. I always wanted to be around music. It was a fun job. Turned out to be not so fun in the end, so work just sucks. It does. Of course, being around the disc jockeys, I would always say, were you a Kiss fan? Most of the time, all of them said no. And of course, being around the DJs, I would always talk Kiss. One DJ in particular, Bobby Day.
And now, here are your hosts, that lovable puppet, DB Doorbell, and Quizmaster extraordinaire, Bobby Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to a special reunion edition of DB's Delight. How you doing, DB?
I'm terrific, Bobby, and really excited about our show tonight.
Well, I'm excited too, and so's our audience, right, kids?
When I brought up the topic of Kiss to him, he said he was not a Kiss fan, he was a Ramones fan back then. But he did let me know that he interviewed Gene in 1978. I was like, that's crazy. That would have been the solo album period, right? And he said Gene was in town for a solo album promotional tour. Did an interview about the solo album. And of course I asked, what was it like? And he said, Gene is a constant professional. He said he's a great talker. Always brought the topic of the conversation back to the product, which I love because that's the Gene we know. And he said he was in and out, total professional, easy interview, super nice guy. And I was just floored by this. Like, jaw to the ground, so cool. Very cool to hear from a man I work with that he had interaction with Gene in 1978.
At the time, Bobby would have been a DJ at KSLQ in St. Louis, and I was able to actually track down the reel-to-reel of the interview. Took place November 20th, 1978. Gene Simmons interview, KCLQ. That's awesome. Somebody out there owns these reel-to-reel tapes. This was sold in the Gotta Have Rock and Roll auction, formerly owned by Bill Aucoin.
And I know I've told this story before. I apologize for the retail, but it's very important for tonight's topic. Because in 2004 was my 30th birthday. And sitting at my desk on my birthday, the phone rang. It said Oldies 95 Studio B. Picked it up. It's young Bobby Day. He says, hey, I hear it's your birthday. Happy birthday, buddy. Open your bottom drawer. So I opened the bottom drawer of my desk, and inside was this. The Gene Simmons solo album, signed by Gene, Radioactive, Gene Simmons, promo copy. This was the album that Gene gave Bobby Day on that interview day. Brought in this record. Of course, Radioactive is the single, so he wrote Radioactive at the top. Signed it in that perfect $sign 1970s signature. And this was my 30th birthday present from young Bobby Day. This album with merch form, poster, signed by Gene in 1978. I was absolutely floored and just the happiest Kiss fan in the world. And then I saw this. A 1977 Pacifica belt buckle. And yes, I said 77 because these are copywritten 1977. A 1977 Gene Simmons solo album belt buckle, never used, never touched, never put on, given to young Bobby Day from Gene Simmons that day. So this belt buckle went from an Aucoin employee to Gene Simmons' hands, to Bobby Day's hands, and then many years later into my hands as a birthday gift. This thing is in absolute beautiful condition. The sticker on the back is perfectly intact, white. I mean, you talk about Kiss history. This is straight from Gene Simmons' hand in 1978, a solo album belt buckle during the promotional tour. How amazing is that? And this birthed me on the road of the solo album belt buckles. Total side note, I do like to keep the Gene Simmons solo album in a frame. That is probably, that album and the belt buckle are probably my all-time cherished Kiss item. The one item I would grab in case of a nuclear attack. Well, I guess if there's a nuclear attack, you don't need this shit anymore. But I would say that I do like to frame that record. And my wife found this a long time ago, like this Marilyn Monroe picture, in this mirror frame. That's a mirror. I think I'm going to frame Gene in this. That would look pretty badass. So well into my 30s, I did become more comfortable with eBay and started venturing in. And luckily I was able to obtain the next 2 belt buckles early on before Knights in Satan Service did their big belt buckle post. Because that's right there is where you saw the skyrocket of belt buckles go from like $75 to $100 to $500 pretty much. And they're slowly dwindling down, but I do see a lot of belt buckles are still like in the $300 range, which is silly. 50, 100 max. 120 max. But anyway, I was able to one day find the Peter Criss. He was the second to arrive. Peter Criss belt buckle. No a coin sticker on the back, but Pacifica nonetheless. And then Paul. No a coin sticker. Pacifica nonetheless. So I was able to add Peter and Paul to the solo album buckle completion. Lacked one band member. Of course you know who that is. It's Ace. And of course you know why he was never obtained. Because Ace is the absolute bugger of Kiss collecting merch. He never shows up. He's always the last. Always. Sometimes miracles happen. A Live 2 Ace poster, Mylar poster, but Mego dolls, Pie record mask, solo belt buckles, Ace is a bugger. We need shirts. We need It's All For You Demon shirts that says Ace is a bugger. And to really piss some people off, let's say Ace Frehley is a bugger. There you go. But I am proud to say, as of 2025, Ace is a bugger no longer. Ace is very beat up. Looks like he's been in a Street Fighter 2, drug across the playground. But normally I don't mention how much I pay for things, but this was like a $70 belt buckle, which is a delicious price for a Pacifica Kiss belt buckle and an Ace belt buckle. So regardless of condition, I was just happy to complete the solo album belt buckle hunt with Ace and not have to spend $300 to get there. $70, shoot. The mission is complete. No a coin sticker on the back. And again, it's pretty grungy, pretty beat up. But my journey is complete, my friends. 21 freaking years. Can you imagine that? I have been on this belt buckle journey for 21 years. Do you remember, like, no one remembers being born, but do you remember turning 21? How long that was? That's how long I've waited to complete this journey. It is done. I am happy. I wish every single person viewing this video all the luck with their collecting goals, because proof in the pudding, it can be done. It just takes sometimes 21 freaking years, but it can be done. We can achieve anything we want, any collecting goal, any dream. We can do it. We are magnificent bastards, and we love this stuff. Now, we rock and roll at night and journal every day for Friday, May 2nd. Describe your ideal Kiss road trip. Where would you go? Who would accompany you? What Kiss album would be your soundtrack? Per where I'm going next week, I'm just going to say, I really wish Danny or FL Dog were going with me, but I get it. People have lives and plans, and you just can't drop everything and fly out midweek in May. But those would be the two people I would want to go with me. I'm going alone. It's going to be my first ever solo trip by myself, which is scary and fun all at once. I did go to India for work for 2 months to train by myself. So if I can do that, I can fly to Burbank. I'm going to say that that would be my ideal Kiss trip, because this is going to be incredibly fun. Not only is it a meet and greet with John 5, it is a meet and greet with John 5 about Kiss for 2 hours, and we're going to play Kiss pinball. Like, that is a dream right there. We're going to talk Kiss, we're going to look at Kiss, we're going to play Kiss pinball. Fucking A. Like, that is the ideal Kiss road trip right there, and I am super excited. And I'm going to say my Kiss album soundtrack for this trip is probably going to be Rock and Roll Over. I plan on listening to Rock and Roll Over on the plane ride, in the hotel. We're going to have fun, and I will talk to you all about it next week. Rock and Roll Night Journal Every Day, available on Amazon. And for the longest time, since the beginning of this channel, kind of created this channel because of Large Marge and Pee-wee. And for the longest time, I always told Large Marge and Pee-wee, one day we're going to do some really cool shit. And I consider going to the NITE Museum some really cool shit. So I'm going to wear my Large Marge 78 shirt to the museum in honor of my baby girl. Girly squirrelies, I am going to miss you guys while I'm gone, but I'll be back. And I'm there doing God's business, girlies. I'm there doing God's business. So it'll be fun. Tonight was fun. I hope you had fun, and thank you for hanging out with us tonight and waxing a little rock and roll nostalgia with us here in the Wax Night House. Be good to your babies, spay, neuter, microchip, take care, be safe. We will talk to you soon.